Hey guys, welcome into the boardroom. My name is Randy, and on this video, we're going to take a look at 5 players over on ESPN and your redraft leagues that you should be drafting right now at 100% rate. These guys are simply just too cheap. If you like this video, I'm going to be dropping a video every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time until we get to opening week. And at that point, we'll start looking at the DFS week 1 slate over on DraftKings. From that point forward, we'll look at 5 stack options that you'll have each week throughout the season. So if this is something you're into, subscribe to the channel, drop a like on the video. You know what to do. You're used to YouTube by this point. We're also going to look at best ball throughout the offseason. So if that's something you're into, subscribe, and we'll keep it moving throughout the NFL season and throughout the offseason as well. Player number 1 we want to take a look at is going to be the New England quarterback Drake May. Some things to consider when you're on the clock and you're looking at Drake May is in the 10 games when May saw 20 plus pass attempts in 2024, he averaged 17.4 fantasy points per game, and that would have been good for QB number 15. Over that same 10-game sample, he averaged 36.3 yards per game on the ground, and that would have been 5th best among QBs during that 10-game stretch. May was sacked 34 times last year, even though he only played pieces of 13 games. New England did go out and revamp their O-line headed into 2025. They added Morgan Moses, Garrett Bradbury, Jarrett Wilson, and the number 1 pick, I'm going to fight and die to protect Drake May with everything I got, Campbell. New England also added some playmakers in the offseason. They went out and got number 1 wide receiver Stephon Diggs. They added Kyle Williams in the draft. They picked up Mac Hollins for some depth, and they also got Travion Henderson at running back, who is maybe their first pass-catching option out of the backfield since James White was in town. New England's schedule also sets up nice on paper as they face the 6th easiest strength of schedule headed into the 2025 season. New England also brought in a new coaching staff in 2025. They brought in Mike Vrabel as head coach from Tennessee after being off last season, and they brought in Old Faithful Josh McDaniels to come back in and run this offense. I do think this is a good thing for May. However, I think it may take them a couple of weeks to work out the kinks and get into a new rhythm. Along with the coaching changes, they've had quite a bit of turnover in the offseason, and they could have between 5 and 7 new starters on offense headed into the 2025 season. New head coach Mike Vrabel has shown a tendency to be more run heavy in the NFL, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, granted, he had King Henry down in Tennessee, but Drake May can scoot too. And if he picks up some yards on the ground, that's great for fantasy. My take on May is I foresee him having a good season. I have him projected to finish somewhere between QB number 10 and QB number 12 in 2025. He's going off the board as QB number 19, which is just blatant mispricing. I would click the draft button on Drake May in every one of my ESPN drafts right now. Player number 2 we're going to take a look at is the Detroit Lions wide receiver, Jameson Williams. JMO finished 17th in the NFL in 2024 with nearly 500 yards after the catch. He ranked 5th in the NFL, averaging 17.3 yards per reception, and he was tied for 9th overall in 20-plus yard receptions in 2024. JMO also averaged 75-plus receiving yards and a touchdown in half of his games in 2024. He also finished as the wide receiver 22 in full PPR sites, having missed 2 complete games, and he had 2 additional games where he only had 1 reception. The new Lions OC is already calling him out for 2025, saying it's going to be a breakout year. If you're telling me 1,000-plus yards and 8 touchdowns isn't a breakout year, sign me up for all the JMO in 2025. A couple other things to consider would be the suspension last year with JMO, but I don't think that's anything that's going to be a problem as we move forward. And this team has, historically under Dan Campbell, leaned on being more of a run-heavy team, but I don't see that being the case in 2025. I don't think they're going to be able to play with this huge lead that they're used to. I see some regression, and I think they're going to be passing more in 2025. At pick number 81, this is just a no-brainer. I would take him in every draft. JMO has wide receiver 1 upside, and he'll single-handedly win you a couple of weeks this year. High upside, stable floor. Going off the board in round 7 is just disrespectful. He should be a round 4 or a round 5 pick. Before we move on to player 3, I also want to take a second to praise JMO. When these speedy wide receivers come into the NFL, everybody has this stigma of they can only run a 9 route. They just streak down the field, they're a decoy, deep ball or nothing, right? Well, this guy's come in, he's worked his you know what off, and he's learned how to run a route tree. So don't be surprised if Amon Ra goes down, if JMO's not wide receiver 7, wide receiver 10 on the season. Player number 3 is going to be the New York Jets running back Breece Hall. Hall finished the 24 season ranked as the number 16 running back overall in fantasy points, and he averaged 15.1 fantasy points per game, which ranked number 17 overall. There's plenty of talk prior to the 2025 season of there being a split of this backfield, a split between Breece Hall and Braylon Allen, maybe with some Isaiah Davis mixed in, but this is something we've already seen before. Hall only had 15 plus carries in 6 games in 2024, and he still finished as a high-end RB2. He's also 2 years removed from his ACL injury, an injury that prior to that, Breece Hall was going off the board as a first-round pick, and he was on pace in 2022 to finish as the RB7. The Jets should lean severely run-heavy in 2025. They brought in Justin Fields, who hasn't been the greatest passer in NFL history, and he's probably going to take to the ground as well. And you bring in Aaron Glenn, who's a defensive coordinator from Detroit. I just think this team is going to run the ball, run the ball, run the ball as much as they possibly can in 2025. But if they choose to air it out or if they fall behind, whatever the case is, Braylon Allen is not really the greatest pass catcher of all time, and Breece Hall definitely has the upside there. So I think we're going to see Hall on the field more often than we expect in 2025. And to that point, Breece also finished 2024 as the RB4 in running back receptions and running back receiving yards. And like we talked about earlier, I mean, Hall is going to split this backfield with Allen, and he's probably going to split it with Isaiah Davis as well, if I could spit his name out. But I don't really see this being much of a difference than last year. I see it being Breece Hall 55%, Braylon Allen 35%, and you might mix in somewhere between 8 and 10% of Isaiah Davis. And Hall could probably lose some goal line work between the pairing of Fields and Allen, who those guys are exceptional. And Allen's a much larger back and probably better around the goal line. But Hall is a playmaker on any blade of grass on an NFL field. My take on the whole situation is the running back position can be one of the most fickle in fantasy sports. And I see Hall finishing somewhere between RB10 to RB15 with some potential upside. And of all the fantasy and best ball sites right now, Hall is the most affordable on ESPN. If I'm on the clock and he's on the board at pick 52 or 53, he's not making it past me. Player number 4 we're going to talk about is going to be the Carolina wide receiver, Teteroa McMillan. According to playerprofiler.com, and if you guys haven't checked them out, go give them a look. A lot of informational stuff over there if you're getting ready for your draft. Anywho, Tet's best comp over there is Drake London, a 6'4", 220-pound wide receiver who can also play in the slot. Imagine getting younger Drake London at pick 90 in your draft. And we just lived through this. I mean, London and Atlanta had no target competition for his first couple of years, like whatever Kyle Pitts was supposed to be. And guess what Tet is playing against in Carolina? You have the ghost of Adam Thielen, Jatavian Sanders, Jalen Coker, Xavier Legette. Like, these aren't exactly names that I'm afraid of when I'm 6'4", 220 pounds, and I'm catching everything on tape right now. Go look at his camp video. Tet is amazing. Don't overthink this. And like I just talked about, man, dude is catching everything but syphilis at Carolina camp right now. I mean, there's so many hype tapes of brilliant routes, followed by strong catches, followed by high pointing the ball, followed by one-handed. I was supposed to drop it, but I didn't. I called your mom. I called her up. I said, "Hey, girl, what's you doing?" And I still caught the ball, and you got mossed. And Buddy was no slouch in college either. In his last 2 seasons at Arizona, he topped 1,300 plus yards and had 8 touchdowns in each season. And I know people want to talk about draft pedigree. This guy went off the board as the wide receiver 1, maybe. I mean, depending on how you look at Travis Hunter. Some cons to consider maybe with Tet in Carolina is Carolina's not really a wide receiver mecca, but Bryce showed some upside and flashes at the end of the 2024 season, and I think he picks up right where he left off. And it may take some time for him to adjust to the speed of the NFL game, but this guy has just been insane in camp right now. If you haven't checked out the videos, I know we talked about him a minute ago, but please just go look at the videos, man. As soon as you see these, you're just going to be clicking draft. My take on this situation is, man, there is no way, none, that Tet would make it past me over on ESPN. I don't care if he's my wide receiver 8 and I got to go in and recode ESPN to be able to make the selection, man. The pick is in. Just take Tet. Before we hop into play number 5, man, I appreciate you guys being here. Please, if you made it this far, drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. Again, I'm going to be covering 5 names every week as we head into the NFL season. It'll get you through your NFL drafts over in your little buddy leagues, get you through that. Then we're going to start looking at some DFS stuff over on DraftKings and all the way throughout the offseason. This channel will not stop. We're going to be looking at best ball, all the way into the 2026 season. Again, I appreciate you guys being here. Good luck in your leagues this year. And let me know down below, who's your guy over on ESPN that you can't stop drafting right now? Without further ado, let's jump back into the last play. Play number 5. Let's get it. Play number 5 is going to be the Los Angeles running back Omarion Hampton. Now, I know it's probably not ideal that Najee is looking like he's filming the sequel to a smash Disney hit. Like, Najee will be taking over the role from Johnny Depp as Captain Black Sparrow. And all jokes aside, man, but truthfully, I hope Najee heals up, but this injury does open the door for a stud rookie running back to see all of the carries throughout camp, throughout preseason, all the way up through the NFL season. Like, this is a great play out if you're drafting Omarion Hampton. I want to give another shout out to Player Profiler again, who's got the Omarion player comp as Jonathan Taylor. Hampton is 22 years old and a 220-pound bruiser. Good luck getting this dude on the ground in space. His last 2 seasons in college, he had 3,164 yards and 30 touchdowns. And let me just check real quick. Yep, that's good. In 9 of his last 11 seasons, Greg Roman, who's the OC for Los Angeles right now, his RB1 has finished as the RB number 24 or better. Do not overthink this. Draft Omarion Hampton at pick number 52 or pick number 53 is crazy to me right now. This guy should be in the 30 range, maybe somewhere between 30 and 34, but you should be taking this guy 100% of the time.